Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name's Oliver King, and this channel is basically a discussion for how to make money with videography, stock photography, and vector art as well. And so today I'm just giving you a little bit of an update on what's sold recently for me. And instead of going over all the ones that I've sold before, because I'm redundantly selling certain images now, I'd rather just go over the new stuff that I've sold, including one of the new videos that I sold as well. And so I'll just go over that so you can get a few ideas of what to think about for your own portfolio, and maybe just a couple points about the things that I shot in case you want to know kind of the technical things behind it, and maybe a couple of the stories as well. So let's jump into Shutterstock Contributor and take a look at the portfolio. All right, so this first image I shot while I was staying at a hotel in the Rocky Mountains, and it's kind of a famous hotel. It's got this amazing view out there, so you can see the mountains and you can see the hotel, and this is just in Banff. So I guess with this image, it's just interesting to remember to sometimes take pictures when you're staying at a hotel or traveling and that type of thing, just to, you know, get shots of certain buildings or certain places that you've stayed, because you never know if that organization or if that building or if that place is going to want images of themselves. And since this is a well-known spot, the Rimrock Hotel, I also just had to include it as an editorial. So this is one of the editorial images that I sold a couple times in the past couple months. And so yeah, this is just an interesting one. Nice view, nice clean shot, and I just took it from the window of the hotel. Some people are getting ready for Easter already, so I've got a couple Easter flat lays that are in my portfolio that are just simple construction paper, a little bit of paper grass and some eggs on it. And I've got a couple that are similar to this. I've got this one here is mine, and this one as well. So these are just a couple little flat lays that I've put together. Really simple, relatively free to create. I've just kept my construction paper, and they're 99 cents a sheet, so I've got a few of those, and I've sold a few based on the flat lays that I've created so far. So a good little home project to do, a little simple one to do, and I guess people are preparing for Easter, so maybe get in there and strike while the iron's hot. This one's a truly wonderful picture of a cabin on a place called Emerald Lake in the Rocky Mountains, and it's just an amazing little wintry scene, totally gorgeous out there, taken while snowshoeing. And so this is just a great image, and a nice red cabin. So I think one of the things to think about when you're taking shots is to make sure that there's at least some degree of color in it. I had to saturate the cabin a little bit more because I needed something in the subject to stand out a little bit. And then yeah, so I just did the editing on that, and that's basically all I did, and just bring back some of the highlights as well, so you get some of those snow shadows. And yeah, so if you're out in nature, just make sure that you have an adequate subject, because there's just millions and millions of landscape shots out there. But if you see a building or if you see an animal, those are good subjects to focus on, and I think they're going to be a bit more useful for people as well. This photo actually sold twice in the same day, and this is just of a man doing a net fishing in the Yangtze River in China. So obviously I don't expect anybody to just go out and snap this stock shot, but since I was on vacation and I was walking around, sometimes you can get some really interesting shots of people. And since he has his back turned to me and you can't identify him, you don't need a model release for this sort of shot. And it's always good to get permission from people when you take a picture. And he just nodded and smiled at me and waved me on while I had the camera. So I went ahead and took the shot, and he looks really interesting. Like, it was really interesting watching this guy fish. He just had his net, caught a couple things there. And it's in a very unique spot as well. This is on the Yangtze River, and right behind him is the Three Gorges Dam. And we'll get to the Three Gorges Dam in a couple seconds, because that has to do with one of the videos that I sold. All right, so here is another shot of a vehicle that was broken by me. And again, this was just a malfunctioning machine at work that shot a rock through a Volvo's window. Naturally, we just contacted the owner of the vehicle, got it all fixed up, but it was a pain in the ass to clean that out. And at least I got a photo out of it, and at least I got a photo sale out of it now. So not the worst thing or outcome in the history of my working career, but it was a bummer to break the window, but I guess it makes a compelling, useful image to somebody, so I'm at least grateful for that bit. There's just one thing I wanted to mention about the sales that I've made recently as well, and that is just to upload regularly, consistently. And if you have a large dump of photo files as well, sometimes you can expect to make multiple sales in one day. In this case, I sold just 5 images in the one day. And that is just because I had a whole bunch of photos over the Christmas break, and a couple vectors as well that I uploaded. And so I just decided to put them out kind of all in one big chunk. And I think because each one of the photos that you release into the fresh content section, it's basically a link back to your portfolio. So for these images, they probably sold 5 in the one day, just because I had a kind of a dump of photos all at once, and because of that, they're all little links back to your portfolio. People probably found some stuff that they were interested in because there's no real clear concept between most of these photos. So it was just kind of a good little bonus for me around Christmas, and it was just kind of nice to see that, yeah, if you consistently work at this, it's going to benefit your portfolio a whole lot more than just letting it sit and just kind of hoping for sales. You already know that I do a lot of the CBD oil vectors and that sort of a thing, so I just detailed out a marijuana leaf, turned it into a background, and now we're making sales with that as well. So sometimes it's just the simplest little backgrounds, and this seems to be somewhat of a hot topic, so I just picked a cool color palette, threw this up, and there you go. So here's the video that I sold somewhat recently, and this is just of the Three Gorges Dam. I had recently just showed that picture of the man who was fishing, and this was the setting behind him of the Three Gorges Dam. I shot this handheld at 60 frames per second, and I just decided to slow it down so I could just get a longer shot, and it was right at sunset, so I had this amazing pink kind of background to it. I don't think anybody has this kind of shot. I didn't have my gimbal or anything with me, which is just too bad, but it is what it is. I still got the shot and made the sale, so that paid for a portion of the trip, which was amazing. And I don't think many people have actual shots of the Three Gorges Dam, and they're not as fascinated with it as I am, so it's, I guess, something that I can probably expect to make other sales on as well in the future, since this is a recent upload anyhow. All right, so that's basically all of the recent sales that I've made on Shutterstock recently. I made a few other on Adobe Stock and Big Stock and some of the other platforms that I'm on, but I'm just going to leave it at Shutterstock for now, since that seems to be kind of a good baseline template for all of the other stock portfolio agencies. And for Adobe Stock, I've sold almost exclusively vectors on that, so I think that's a good market if you're just jumping into the whole vector thing. Same with Big Stock, it seems to be really influenced by vectors, or maybe I'm just creating vectors that are fulfilling a certain niche, so I'm focusing a little bit more on those, and then I'm hopefully still trying to work on my After Effects design work, but it's a pretty complex program, so I'll have to sort myself out with that and kind of content myself with learning it for now. So a few of the other things I just wanted to mention in this video, just other interesting stuff if you're sort of a videographer who's just starting. One of the things I had this morning was just a meeting with the company I work at, and we were just discussing making social media content for our company. And so this is just a good idea and a good way to kind of maybe jumpstart your videography skills or your photography ambitions if you're trying to get a side hustle going, is to just talk to the people at the company you're working at, because chances are if it's a smaller company, or if it's a company that's maybe not super well invested in new media and that sort of a thing, you can get a little bit more income out of it by suggesting that you do the social media. And it might be nothing at first. Maybe they just are going to dedicate some of your company time to working on certain social media things. But hopefully what you can do is talk to your company, see if it's something that they want. And it's a good way to sort of get your side hustle going, get some more experience, and have a couple more marketable skills to put on your resume. One of my biggest regrets, I think, with where I've worked in the past is that I've never really worked on my kind of marketable skills and especially new media skills. And so I think it's a good thing to consider if you're getting into videography, if you're doing photography, to think about doing it for the company you're already working at, because that might just be a good way to kind of jumpstart and get some experience while you're doing the job you're already doing. So check with your manager, your owner, and see if that's something that you could do, see if that's something you could jump into. I think it's a good way to kind of consider branching out on your skill sets and hopefully making a transition in your career if that's something that was interesting to you. So that's the update I got for you for this week, just on the stuff that I'm working on. I hope it was useful to you. I hope it was informative. And if you're interested, you can subscribe for more content that's like this, just a discussion on getting videography going on off the ground and photography and new media and all that sort of a thing. So that's basically what I discuss here. And if that intrigues you, if you want more information like this on how to kind of get your side hustle started, and by all means subscribe and stick around. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next update.